What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Wuthering Waves reaction. Kind of, I guess, since this isn't an official song. It's by somebody named David Johnson Kim, who apparently has made an entire album plus of just Wuthering Waves stuff. This one was actually requested on the Against the Tides video, since it's been a while since I've gotten to a song from Wuthering Waves, but here we are. Sharing 64 Tacos wanted me to get to this one, so I guess I'm going to hear what metal sound this person has made for this game. So this might be really fun to just hear something from the community. It's very rare I get specifically community songs, so it's always fun to hear what they've got. So without further ado, let's go! A lot of stuff has been starting very atmospheric recently, and I'm here for it. Okay, very dry. Not a mix I'm used to hearing. It's crispy. Huge drums, though. Huge drums. The distortion on this is just, it's so dry. That might sound like a bad thing that I've said it a few times. It's not. I'm just not used to it. Well spaced on the fills, too. I'm finding myself getting lost. Just listening to the things going on. Ooh. Bro's got the roars. Let's go. Ooh. Oh, okay. I didn't really realize it was going to be a breakdown there. Or here. Hell yeah, open up all the symbols. Let's go. Great vocals, by the way. I haven't said anything about that yet. I really like the singer's tone. Very, very nice. Great screams, too. You can tell they know what they're doing. Woo! Bro's got that Kellen Quinn in him. Went up even higher. I felt it fighting back there. Almost broke. That was probably the one take he had that actually, like, held all the way. The one time his voice didn't drop out. That's a high note. threw a blast in there. A cheeky little blast for the bridge. Let's go. The punch on these drums. Again, really nicely placed fills. I'm very picky about that for obvious reasons. Like, in my defense, I always overdo it. But when it comes to writing, I'm a lot more picky. A great energy to it. Man, it's been a minute since I've heard specifically this genre, but whew, that was really well done. Very well done. So when I say I haven't heard this genre in a while, I mean that very loosely, mostly because I've heard metalcore stuff recently. Like, I even just recently recorded a video for the PGR collaboration with Devil May Cry, and they definitely had that vibe in there, except this is much more modern metalcore, not that which was more of an homage to like the older 2000s era of metalcore, which I also love, but I really like this sound too. It's just not something that really crosses my table too often, especially in videos like this, so it's nice to hear it and hear where people are musically with the sound, the mixing especially. That's why I was commenting about it on this one, because this is a dry, crusty mix, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I would say this is crispy and crunchy. It's a very nice, tasty mix. The reason that I specify that different from what I would call an average mix is purely because of where the mix is handled. This has a lot more of like the shine in the high end of the frequency bar, and that is going to result in a much more crispy, light end like I'm hearing, versus other ones that I'm used to hearing more of like, let's say All That Remains in like the early 2000s. That was a little bit beefier, more in the low mids rather than the high mids, and that's just part of how the genres change and how people's tastes and profiles and sound change over time. You're going to want to focus on different points. That's just the nature of music. Things will go and ebb and flow, and that's just how things work. It can also be an influence if the producer does other genres more and they're used to using that high range. So basically you're using it because you're comfortable in it, not necessarily because that's what's normal for the genre as a whole. So it is very possible that this guy usually makes songs that are a little bit more shiny in that top end of the frequency range, and it's like, okay, sure. So like, stay comfortable up here. Use that, and he used it well. So I say that works out really nicely. I'm not going to get into the lyrics specifically because I don't know the lore of Wuthering Waves, and I don't know how this song would be connecting through everything in there. I don't know if there is supposed to be a deeper connection than just being inspired by the game, maybe. Like, I don't know where that lands, but as far as I could tell, they were pretty bog standard lyrics, which isn't a bad thing. But to me, as somebody without those points of reference to be able to connect it to the story, it just sounds like any other metalcore lyrics I've ever heard, which are basically emotional, angry, that's it. You know, not really much else to think about. That's what it is. But I'm sure that these lyrics have some sort of a meaning in them related to the game. I just don't know what that is, so I feel like it's not worth talking about from me specifically. But musically, this song had so much getting into it. I'm not going to be able to get to all of it. I'll focus a little bit more on the drums for obvious reasons, but there was so much with the guitars as well. The patterns were phenomenal. Everything in here, the balancing of it all the way through. Every single time they changed something, moved to a breakdown, found like that one spot in there where I was like, whoa, that's a breakdown. I almost thought that the song was over, but then they came out of nowhere with that and just smacked me in the head with the sledgehammer. Just felt really good. And as weird as that sounds, it felt great. That's the point of metal, right? Like, it's supposed to be a sledgehammer, but you're supposed to enjoy it. Like, that's the vibe, right? Like, when you're hearing metal, you don't come in here to be lulled to sleep. You get in here to be able to be part of the pit. You know, you get in there to punch somebody and, you know, release that anger. And that's the vibe we're going for, even if we don't actually want to hurt people. It's a very inclusive space, right? Like, fuck you. Also, be respectful. If you're not in the pit, don't punch somebody. At the same time, this is a really, really fun song and had plenty of that energy in there. There was so much fight to it. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. I don't know what we're trying to get our energy heightened about, but I don't care. Crowd mentality, fuck yeah. Like, it was just so good at conveying that energy and getting me hyped. And even though I probably was staring at my screen looking largely disinterested, but I was listening. That's what I was doing. Like, when I'm listening to these songs, sometimes I'm listening so close at the detail work that I look dead, basically, especially when there's technical stuff going on in the mixing and I'm trying to pay attention for a genre that I usually don't talk too much about because it's not something I get to all the time. So I need to be a little bit more attentive. And this was one of those times where I felt like I wasn't saying a lot. And that's why I do these sections at the end, because I feel like if I pause, I'd be yapping forever. And I feel like if I didn't say anything afterwards, I'd be adding no value to the song or anything else like that. So it's why I talk now. Point being, and you know, yapping aside there, this had some amazing energy, great fight to it, great lifts, exactly what you would expect out of this genre. I wanted to be in a crowd. This felt like such an anthemic song for metalcore. It was so good. Every little detail in the guitars alone, again, I haven't even gotten to the drums yet, was so good at that. The chugs, everything, it just, you know, like, you just know it's a great song when all you could say is, and just, you feel it, right? But specifically with the drums, there was some amazing stuff in here, like that one spot where he like opened up the cymbals. And by that, I basically just mean he was hitting every single one. You could hear that like the hi-hat was in there, that had both hats open. It wasn't closed. There was no choke. He was like dancing on them. And I personally love doing that. I'm a little bit of a cymbal dancer myself. So when I hear somebody do that, especially in this where that one spot had happened, I was like, ooh, because it swelled open. It wasn't a hit. It wasn't just somebody bashing on a china or a stack. There was something musical about it, which never happens with most metal drums, to be honest. A lot of the time, they just do whatever, or they're just bashing shit as hard as they can or as fast as they can without any real thought about the musicality of the piece. So that being in there, that one little thing alone, having a little bit of cymbal dance, just makes you feel like, whoa, they're paying attention to the emotional swell in the song, and they're wanting to carry you into that next movement. That is music. That's musicianship. That is somebody who understands. And I love hearing that. You gotta love it. And I also mentioned a lot of the amazing fill work in here. And I don't mean that because there was one specific fill that was really difficult or really impressive. All of them were very basic, but at the same time, they were well placed, they were well paced, and they didn't feel like the guy was just doing it to show off most of the time. One or two of the times you could probably argue that it was just the dude throwing one in there and it didn't really fit in that part of the song, but that's me being pedantic as a drummer. I wouldn't really call that a true criticism, more as just a personal preference thing. Overall though, amazing balancing, just doing things at the right point and not just throwing something in because it sounds cool, which is something that too many metal drummers do just because it's cool, just because it's fast. Like, sure, metal definitely has that backbone of like, hell yeah, brother, let's do something because it's cool. But at the same time, there is still musicality to it. There is still a musicianship to being a drummer. Obviously, even though most people would want to think so, we're not just sitting behind something and bashing something with sticks and not thinking about what we're doing. There is a thought to every action, every fill, and every placement every single time. And this person, just like with that cymbal swell bit, was actually thinking about it instead of just going just for no reason. The half times were great as well. A lot of use of the stack and the china, which is very common for this genre. It's basically the only thing you use in this genre most times. times, you know, like once you move away from the hi-hat, you're probably not going back to it unless that bitch is wide open. There's just so many things to drums, but even though it's not as technically complex as something like swing or jazz is, there is still technical complexity to it, and being safe about when and where you do these halftime breakdowns and how you do them, how much room you leave, is very akin to like jazz solos. You can leave a lot of room. Some of the best jazz solos ever are literally just people hitting things every once in a while, and that space where nothing happens is tension being built. You know, the drummers creating this energy in the song just by doing a solo and not including something, choosing not to hit at certain points. Halftime breakdowns are very much the same beast. They're very similar, not exactly the same, but they have a similar energy and a similar purpose in a song. So when I hear them this often, but use this well, and then with musicality thrown in there, like that cymbal swell, just to keep you awake, basically, like, oh, what's happening next? Adding that tension is still very much important, and I love that they did that well here, instead of, once again, just blasting shit open and hitting something as hard as you can for the sake of doing that alone. This is music, this is musicianship, and I love this. It's very rare, honestly, even in modern stuff that has gotten a lot more technical, more with the guitars, but definitely with the drums in a lot of cases. There's still times where people will ignore the musicality and will just hit shit as much as they can because it sounds cool. And I much prefer hearing this sort of thing, where you can tell that they put in the time and effort to place every single little bit and knowing when and where to utilize those things. It's just, it's good. This is very well done from somebody I don't know about really at all and didn't know about till today. And for somebody who, from what I saw on their channel at least, their main uploads were not metal. So that's also impressive. Somebody who is able to compose this, understand the genre, and actually take it at a technical level instead of a face value of, hey, let's make the most generic metal thing ever. So I really appreciate David here and their attention to detail. I don't know how much of this was assisted from the person that they collabed with, the recovery system, or if that was like just the vocalist, you know, like I don't know how deep that goes, but either way, very well done. And I really do appreciate the care and attention given to the genre here. But I've yapped about this way too long, so I'm going to call it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you want me to get to something else from specifically Wuthering Waves, you can drop it down below and I will do my best as always next time. Or if you want to follow me and support me for other videos coming out in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!